Hello, my name is Shakti and this is Shok's Talks. On this channel, I'm going to be talking about everything from aliens, UAPs, UFOs, anomalous phenomena in general, the nature of reality, consciousness, and spirituality. And we're going to start with the UAP conversation. I'm going to be building out a timeline for us that begins around the 1940s, and in each episode, we'll cover a major event that has been really significant in the UFO history, and that will lead us into the present day and all the activities that are happening now. But at the same time, I'm going to be covering current events. And as we get deeper into these episodes, we'll kind of branch out into some of the more tangential conversations surrounding the topic. So I'm going to be recommending books, podcast episodes, events, and other media as it relates to the discussion. And thank you so much for tuning in and taking the time to get into all this with me. So let's get started. Right now is a very exciting moment because although the UFO UAP topic has been taboo for so long, it's quickly becoming more legitimate as the US government is taking things really seriously. Ever since 2017, there's been a huge spike in mainstream news articles, and now we're seeing big movements with organizations like Arrow coming out of the Department of Defense, as well as an upcoming hearing scheduled for Wednesday, July 26th, 2023. That's this coming Wednesday. We'll get into that hearing at the end, but before we jump into all these exciting current events, let's go back to the beginning of media coverage surrounding UFOs and the origin of the term flying saucer. So, it's 1947, 2 years after the nuclear bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and World War II has ended. Kenneth Arnold is flying his private plane over Washington state on a business trip. He decides to fly around Mount Rainier on a search mission because a military C-46 airplane has crashed and the reward is $5,000. Around 3 p.m. on July 24th, 1947, he starts to see bright flashes and notices 9 flying objects in formation. He initially clocks their speeds at around 1,200 miles per hour and later recalculates, estimating their speed to be closer to 1,700 miles per hour. The sighting lasts for about 3 minutes. Since he assumed they could have been craft from a foreign government, he immediately reports what he saw. He lands in Yakima, Washington, and tells the general manager at the airfield all about how these things in formation looked like saucers that flew like rocks if you skipped them on water. So what he was saying is they weren't flying in a straight line, but the formation was kind of bouncing along like this. And that's where he got the idea of like a skipping rock, kind of. And this information spreads really quickly, and the press coins the term flying saucers. It's picked up by all kinds of media, movies, it's just on everybody's mind. And there's a lot more reports that start to come out during that time as well. It's like as soon as it's put into people's minds, there's just like an upsurge in activity in general around all of these things. And less than a month later, the Roswell event occurs, but we'll get into that on another episode. So let's look at some terminology over time. We've all heard flying saucers, discs, maybe tic tacs, UFOs, UAPs, and many other terms, but today the official term being used by the government is UAP. The definition, however, has changed over time. As new information comes in, they've had to adapt it a little bit. So we start with UFO, unidentified flying object, and then UAP comes into the mix, standing for unidentified aerial phenomena. And now they've redefined it as unidentified anomalous phenomena. So I've heard different things about how the government is trying to change this term to sort of undermine all the people that have already been researching UFOs for so long, and it's part of their tactics to confuse us and throw us off the trail. I really don't think that that's the case. I think that the government is made up of people, people are good and bad. A lot of them are just doing really good work, and they're trying to do the best they can with what they've got and work within the systems that exist. I think that the term UAP has been adapted and has evolved because they don't actually know everything. They're not hiding some big secret. They actually need to know more. And as new information comes in, they've had to change their idea of what this whole thing is about. So, as you'll see when we get into more of the current events. Since the 1940s, there have been special programs in the US government undertaken by the US Air Force designed to collect and analyze information about UFOs. So back during the Kenneth Arnold time, one of the first programs was called Saucer. That was changed later to become Project Sign. Then it became Project Grudge, which later turned into Project Blue Book. And you can dig into all of this and start to look into the details of what these programs were about and the kind of information that they released to the public, which was pretty minimal. But the general kind of vibe of all of this stuff is that it was pretty secretive, and the final reports often kind of attributed a lot of these sightings to kind of other environmental anomalous events such as swamp gas or weather balloons. So that is to say that all of this stuff that was happening didn't really give the people what they were looking for. We've never had the full transparency and clarity around really like what were they up to, what were they studying, what did they know, what did they have in their possession, and we've just been dying and waiting to find out. So today we have AARO. AARO, AARO, stands for All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, and this is under the U.S. Department of Defense, and you can read all about it on defense.gov. The preliminary lines of effort for AARO include 1. Surveillance, collection, and reporting, 2. System capabilities and design, 3. Intelligence operations and analysis, 4. Mitigation and defeat, 5. Governance, and 6. Science and technology. Sean M. Kirkpatrick is the director of AARO, and on December 17th, 2022, he said, unidentified anomalous phenomena is anything in space, in the air, on land, in the sea, or under the sea that can't be identified and which might pose a threat to U.S. military installations or operations. We have an important and yet challenging mission to lead an interagency effort to document, collect, analyze, and when possible, resolve reports of any unidentified anomalous phenomena. And quick side note here, I love that they include the sea, the under the sea kind of mysteries, because there have been a lot of firsthand accounts and different reports of activities where people have seen, Navy people have seen ships going into the ocean, and I heard, I went to the Contact in the Desert gathering this past year, a big UFO conference, and there was a video clip that I saw from a Navy man who talked about taking a submarine down to a crashed otherworldly vehicle that was in the ocean and recovering some bodies actually from it. So there's a lot of mysterious stuff going on in the ocean. And historian Richard Dolan is coming out with a new book. His books are really thorough, a lot of research, a lot of firsthand information, and he's going to be writing, I don't know the title of the book yet, but he has a book coming out that's going to focus all on this underwater stuff, because I don't think a lot has been published about it, so that'll be really exciting, and I'll keep you posted on that as I find out more. So back to AARO, some more quotes. This is from December 16th, 2022, and this is Ronald Moultrie. Our team is partnering with the services, the intelligence community, the Department of Energy, NASA, the FFA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and others to share information about UAP and tap into the vast resources of the interagency. NASA has been a particularly valuable partner. We are also engaging with a wide range of select partners from across academia, industry, and the scientific community, as well as our allies and partners. Our team knows that the public interest in UAP is high. We are developing a plan to provide regular updates and progress, reporting to the public on our work. While we're committed to declassifying and sharing information related to UAP to the greatest extent possible, we must, of course, balance the desire for transparency with the need to protect classified information, sources, and methods in the interest of national security. Just saying, they're going to share as much as they can, but there's certain things that they won't be able to share, obviously, for our safety. Take it how you will. I recommend checking out the latest episode of Weaponized. This is a podcast by Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. Jeremy Corbell did the Bob Lazar documentary a while back. And on this recent episode, they have journalist Christopher Sharp talking about new legislation. And this is really interesting because what it means is that in addition to AARO, there is a proposed committee to basically take this work on. They'll be doing a lot of the same things that AARO has outlined in their objectives, but they're raising it up to the level of the president. And if you want to read more about the details of this, I recommend Sharp's article on liberationtimes.com. This article was published on July 15th, 2023, and it's titled Congress Initiates Plan to Reveal Recovered Technologies of Unknown Origin and Biological Evidence of Non-Human Intelligence. Biological evidence. It's really cool whenever they bring biological evidence into the conversation. The opening of this article reads, in a historic development relating to unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has introduced legislation creating what will become a review board dedicated to the disclosure of UAP information and materials. So when you listen to the podcast episode, what it sounded like to me is that this board is, if this all goes into effect, it will mean that not only are they asking for people to come forward with information so that Congress and the government can get a better picture of what's going on, but they're also going to require that they turn over any objects or bodies that they have. So what they're trying to do here is just gather up all the pieces and bring everything together. And instead of all these stories we've heard from whistleblowers and people that worked for the government or other private programs about how they were siloed and the science was always done just like one person at a time looking at this stuff, they're trying to bring it all together. They're trying to connect the pieces and let people study things, hopefully as a group. And hopefully there will be more transparency and more communication with the public in general around these things. I know that there are a lot of people working to determine the impact this information will have on the public. So economists and sociologists and historians and even people connected to religious communities are trying to understand how to best continue to share the information while minimizing the potential outbursts of fear and panic and just try to keep the peace. It's a big deal to start wrapping your mind around all of this. And because there's been so much secrecy for so long, things have to be done really carefully and in a timely manner. So now we're going to talk about the hearing, which is set for this coming Wednesday. And you can read about this on oversight.house.gov. The article published on July 20th, 2023 is titled National Security Subcommittee to Hold Hearing on Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. And this hearing is going to be live streamed and it's open to the public, so we can all tune in. I will be at work, sadly, so I'm going to catch the first hour of it, I think, and then I'll have to get the recaps from everybody. I don't know if there will be a recording available or how that's going to work. But here's a quote from United States Representative Tim Burchett. The Pentagon and Washington bureaucrats have kept this information hidden for decades, and we're finally going to shed some light on it. We're bringing in credible witnesses who can provide public testimony because the American people deserve the truth. We're done with the cover-ups. So dramatic. I kind of think it's funny, but I like it because it's really speaking to the mood of all of this. You know, it has been a taboo topic. There has been a lot of weird activity around these programs that really discredited people who came forward. In recent times with Arrow, there's been an effort to actually get that information to the Congress. So they're saying, even if you work for a private company and you're under NDA, we will protect you. And the next level, the next step is, we need this stuff. You have to give it to us. It is the law and we'll protect you. And we'll see. Maybe there will even be some kind of compensation or something given in return. I don't know. But right now, it's like things are ramping up and they're ramping up really quickly. So it's a very, very, very exciting time. This hearing, again, is happening this coming Wednesday, July 26th, 2023. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. There will be witness testimonies, and this is live streamed. And again, you can find the link to that live stream at oversight.house.gov. So that's what I've got for you today. A lot of cool stuff. I just want to thank you again for tuning in. And if you like any of this, if you know anybody else that's interested in this stuff, please like, share, and subscribe so that I can keep this thing going and get a conversation going, get a little feedback maybe. I'm really looking forward to continuing to build out our timeline. We're starting in the 1940s. We just talked about the Kenneth Arnold event, and next up on the list is Roswell. So next time we come back together, we're going to get into Roswell. We're going to talk about this hearing. And for today's book recommendation, I'm bringing The Coming of the Saucers by Kenneth Arnold and Ray Palmer. And this is Kenneth Arnold's book. I just got it, so I haven't read the whole thing yet. I've been skimming it. There's a lot of really cool pictures in here. And it's funny because there's a little note at the end that basically says, like, don't copy anything from this. Do not copy. Kenneth Arnold is watching. So that's why I'm not going to show you what's in here. But if you want to take a look for yourself, this is the book. This is The Coming of the Saucers. And thanks again. This is Shocks Talks. I'll see you next time.